Love is but a song we sing. Fear's the way we die. You can make the mountains green, make the angels cry. Though the bird is on the wing, you may not know why. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Some may come and some may go. We will surely pass. When the one who has left us here returns for us at last, we are but a moment's sunlight fading on the grass. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. If you hear the song I sing, you will understand. You hold the key to love and fear, all in your trembling hand. Just one key unlocks them both, they're at your command.
Join us now.
Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Come on, people now, smile on your brother. Everybody get together, try to love one another right now. Try to love one another right now. Try to love one another right now. Try to love one another right now.
Good morning, everybody. You've already met our guests for today, Doug Beneke and his wife Sally Spirit. Thank you.
Wonderful to be with you. Thank you.
And good choice of opening song, huh? Okay.
Yes.
Welcome, everybody. Good to see everybody on this summer day. And we will have sun later. You know, this is how it goes, right? Clouds in the morning, then the sun burns it off, and we have a nice afternoon. So it's going to be...
Not 90.
It's not 90, which is a good thing. Yes. I have a little comment. Yesterday I decided to go to one of those small town celebration type things. So small that what they do for fun is they have riding lawnmower races. And they go hell-bent for leather around that track, you know, trying not to hit the hay bales. It's a lot of fun. I highly recommend it.
Where's it at?
Where was it at?
No, it was out in Seebeck, and they call it Crosby Days.
Oh, yes.
I guess, was
It's
Seebeck,
been around
it
for a
was,
million years.
was it formerly known as Crosby? Is that why they
Yes,
call it Crosby
yes,
Days? Okay, but it's Seebeck now.
Okay.
But anyway, that was a lot of fun. Okay, so anyway, back to welcoming you. Good morning, everybody. Let's see, is there anybody here for the very first time this morning? Just our guests, okay. And I see over here on the chairs that you received your red hearts, so wonderful. And we'll talk about what that all means in a moment here. I just wanted to welcome everybody, and once again, we're going to have a little music from our guests.
Great.
It's a good old, oops. Well, anyway, it's not a, this is a good old-fashioned song you'll remember called Peace Like a River. Doug's going to play a little piano. And,
That was it?
That's a quick song.
Okay, great, let's all have coffee. It goes, I've got peace like a river in my soul, I've got joy,
Like a mountain.
joy
Yeah.
like
Yeah, we know it.
a fountain,
Fountain.
and love like a mountain.
There you go.
Yes. And just relax into this, because that's what we like to do when we come to church. I've got peace like a river, I've got
Peace like a river,
I've got peace
like a river in my soul.
I've got
Peace like a river, I've got peace like a river.
I've got
Peace like a river in my soul.
joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy like a fountain. I've got joy
Like a fountain in my soul.
in my soul. I've got joy
Like a fountain, I've got joy.
like a fountain. I've got joy
Like a fountain in my soul.
love like a mountain. I've got love
Like a mountain, I've got love. Like a mountain,
I've got love
like a mountain in my soul.
in my soul. I've got
Love like a mountain, I've got love. Like a mountain, I've got love. Like a mountain in my soul.
one more time, peace.
I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul.
In my soul, I've got
Peace like a river. I've got peace like a river. I've got peace like a river in my soul.
Lovely, lovely, lovely. Okay. Excuse me. So what the Red Heart Welcome is all about is we welcome you in the spirit of love. We want you to know that you're always welcome here. And we know that the world is a better place when we are willing to share our hearts. So we give you this heart as a symbol of the steadfast spirit that lives within each one of us. And we ask you to carry this symbol as a member of the Red Heart Fellowship. Let it be a reminder that the love of God is always with you and to share your heart wherever you go. The red heart as a symbol of fellowship of the world can spread love one heart at a time. Let's spread the movement here, or let's start the movement here. Okay.
Thank you.
All
Here's
right.
one for you, honey.
And For those who might be watching and listening on live stream, just know that we have a variety of guests and speakers, and so it's always fresh and always new going on here at Bremerton Unity. Also, we should note that Sundays don't happen by accident. We have a lot of volunteers and helpers going on. And so today I am wearing two hats. I'm your platform assistant and I'm your chaplain. I'm Debbie Clay. Our hospitality hosts are Ann and Mary Ellen. Thank you. For Spick and Span Angels, it's all of us. So after fellowship time, if you could help clear away some of the crumbs. Excuse me. Thank you. That would be appreciated. Mark Swink is our technology guru. We appreciate you, Mark. And let's see. Our board member of the week is Mary Ellen. So let's see. There are some announcements in your bulletin. I'm just going to hit a couple of highlights here. On Thursday evenings at 7 p.m. we have our Course in Miracles study group, and that's an open group, so all are welcome to join us. Coming up on August 21st, New Moon Circles, Spiritual Star Talks, and they'd like you to have a RSVP, if you would, to give Suzanne a heads up that you're coming and she can prepare something for you. A family fun night is coming up on 6 p.m. on August the 25th. And last week you said bunco?
We got it.
Oh, if you haven't played bunco before, that is so fun. Okay, all right.
So you're coming, Debbie?
Well, I'm going to try. I put it on my calendar. I have put it on my calendar. Okay, so I think it's time for our board member of the week, Mary Ellen. You're up.
Good morning.
Good morning.
We want to remind you that we're live streaming our service. We ask that you keep your conversation down because it's being picked up, especially during the candle lighting and paper burning. Also, please be sure your cell phones are off or on vibrate. We also want to remind everyone that prayer request forms are available in the pocket in the back of the seats, and you can put them in the prayer box up front. Okay. Or put them in the offertory bag as they're passed around. The chaplains are available to pray with you after service on Sundays. North Kitsap Unity has a weekly meditation Thursday, August 16th at 7 p.m. Oneness Blessing Diksha. This is the last Thursday that Rose Rydell and Bill Mullen will be available to create their blessing circle. Everyone is welcome and no previous experience is necessary. Don't miss this opportunity. Meditations are held in the fellowship hall at Faith Episcopal in Poulsbo. Our craft fair bazaar is set for Saturday, November 17th. For those who have signed up, please start thinking about what you want to share or start creating the items you want to sell. If you haven't already signed up, please do so at the sign-up sheet in the fellowship area. Please stop by the table in the fellowship area and see all the sign-up sheets that we have for events we have coming up. We have a variety of activities going on each month. Stay tuned for more events as we ease into the summer months. And if you want to stay up to date with our activities, be sure to sign up for our weekly e-blast newsletter. Minette Fest is coming up on September 8th. Our own Joe Zukakis lives very near the event and is offering his front yard for us to have a yard sale. And we'll take advantage of all the foot traffic going to see all the activities on that day. There will be the Minette Saloon Pancake Breakfast, a Minette Fest 5K Fun Run, a car show, the world's tiniest parade, music, food, and fun. We have a sign-up sheet in the fellowship area. If you have items to sell, they must be in good shape. If you want to donate items to us to sell and we can keep the proceeds, please let us know. If you have items that you would like to sell and you will be there to sell them, then we will ask for a percentage of the to be donated to Unity. Sign up if you're interested and you will be able to talk to Joe to coordinate. As always, if you have suggestions, questions, or concerns, please ask a board member. Thank you.
Thank you, Mary Ellen. That's wonderful. Okay, it's time to light the Christ candle, and this represents the divine light within each one of us. Okay, on the screen we have our mission statement. We are a welcoming community supporting our mutual quest for spiritual truth. And our invocation together. There is one presence and one power active in the universe and in my life. God the good omnipotence. Okay, wonderful. All right, we're going to have handshakes and hugs. I'm going to ask you to keep it short so we can have a lovely service with our guests. And if you hug, hug gently. Thank you.
Hey, you. Oh, they're vacation.
Hi, Debbie.
Hey, you.
Hi, I'm Doug.
I'm Lynn.
Nice to meet you.
Nice to meet you.
Hi.
Hi, good morning, good morning.
Thank you. Nice to meet you.
I don't know, I said, when they were playing that music, I said, this is Jamie. Jamie used to listen, she said you
Slip
don't love
past
that
you.
music.
Hi, I'm Doug. Nice to be with you guys.
They're out having fun. Hi, Mary, how are you? You look like you're ready for the holiday spirit here. Hawaii, aloha.
I'm looking forward to aloha.
He's ready for it.
Oh, yeah. I'll get
We
my
need to have
moo and
that.
my layout.
Hello, brother. You're going to wear shoes tomorrow? Very nice to meet you, Doug.
Hi. Good to see you. Glad you're here.
Hello. Have you gone there probably to visit your
Oh, yes. I lived there for about a year with them. Well, maybe.
Oh, that is so funny.
Small world.
We'll have no music.
Half my toes falling.
Hey, you.
Thank you, everybody. This has a chorus that repeats. So I'll teach you the chorus, and everybody can sing out when that comes around. I don't know if you've thought about this before, but I have. The first line is, I can't help it. God makes me want to sing. Say that. I can't help it. God makes me want to sing, and that repeats. And then it makes me feel so good I can do most anything. Makes me feel so good I can do most anything. And here's how the melody goes. I'll give you line by line. I can't help it, God makes me want to sing. Try that. I can't help it, God makes me want to sing. Very good. And the second line goes, I can't help it, God makes me want to sing. We'll try that. I can't help it, God makes me want to sing. And then makes
Wait,
me...
do they have to sing that?
No, that's just the thing. Makes me feel so good I can do most anything. Now you got the idea already. Repeat that. Makes me feel so good I can do most anything.
Yeah, Nora.
Now we're gonna, yeah, Nora's shaking it down over there. So we're gonna do the whole chorus. See if you can remember. Here we go. I can't help it, God makes me want to sing. Same thing. I can't help it, God makes me want to sing. Makes me feel so good. Makes me feel so good I can do most anything. Okay, all right. Now get ready because there'll be a verse and then you'll sing again. Well, now I am loving every living thing. I can see the face of God in paupers and kings. less or more, 'cause we've all got the same treasure in store. That's why I'm loving every living thing. Here we go. 2, 3, I can't help it. God makes me wanna sing. I can't help it. God makes me wanna sing. All right. Makes me feel so good. Makes me feel so good. I can do most anything. I am believing in my guiding light. No matter what comes along, it always turns out right. Just dig deep down to how I feel. Take a deep breath now and grab the wheel. 'Cause I am believing in my guiding light. Here we go, I can't help it. I can't help it. God makes me wanna sing. I can't help it. God makes me wanna sing. Makes me feel so good. I can do most anything. Makes me feel so good. I can do most anything. Give yourselves a big hand.
Daily Word, let go, let God. I turn within to my spiritual source in the face of any challenge, any fear. The affirmation, let go and let God, can be found on the walls of recovery programs throughout the world. Its truth is unquestioned, and its implications have only expanded as our collective consciousness has grown. Today, I recognize that letting God is not surrendering to an outside source, but choosing which of the narratives within me I believe. When I quiet the opinions and fears of my ego mind, I allow my innate divine nature to express through me as strength and inspiration in the face of every challenge the day may bring. I am an expression of divine love, and as such, I affirm, I turn within to my spiritual source in the face of any challenge, any fear. And from James chapter 4, verses 5 and 7. God yearns jealously, I'm going to start that again. God yearns jealously for the Spirit that God has made to dwell in us. Submit yourselves, therefore, to God. Today, I turn within to my spiritual source in the face of any challenge, any fear. God bless us.
Amen. Here's another one for you to learn. I'm challenging you guys today, and thank you for your patience with that.
Thank you for helping us grow new neurons, honey.
All right, this is considered the essence of the biblical teachings, and Jesus was asked, boil it down, Rabbi, what's it all about? And sort of, I'm paraphrasing it, of course. And Jesus said, it's right there. It says, love God with all your heart, soul, mind, body, and love thy neighbor as thyself. And that's it. If you can do that, you'll go to heaven. So this little song is kind of a chant about that. I'll teach it to you. First part goes, love, 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 love. Try that. Love, 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 love. Gospel in one word is love. Gospel in one word is love. Love thy neighbor as thyself. Try that.
Love thy neighbor as thyself.
And love, love, love. Try that. Love. line, then you sing a line. Love, 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 love. Gospel in one word is love.
Gospel in one word is love.
Love thy neighbor as thyself.
Love thy neighbor as thyself.
Love, love, love. Love, love, love.
Would you like to try it all together?
Here we go. Love, 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 love. Gospel in one word is love.
Love thy neighbor as thyself.
Love, love, love. Again. Love, 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 love. Gospel in one word is love.
Love thy neighbor as thyself.
Love, love, love. And love, love, love. Thank you.
Hon, we're supposed to do a song now.
Oh, we're supposed to do another song.
That's what it says.
Okay.
It says up there too.
See, it's a team effort. I appreciate that. So what are we doing?
Special music.
Just teasing, actually.
You remember?
I actually remember.
Words I have to say may well be simple, but they're true. Till you give your love, there's nothing more that you can do. Love is the opening door. Love is what we came here for. No one can offer you more. Have your eyes really seen? Do you know what I mean? Have your eyes really seen?
Gorgeous, absolutely gorgeous. So our guest speaker today is Doug Beneke, and his lesson topic is play ball.
There you go.
Coming up to the plate.
It's sweet to be with all of you here today. Thank you for coming out on a day when there's a million choices. I'm sorry to make the mic noise, just wanted to get it right. So there's always a million choices, and we're very happy to be chosen to come join you. We're such good friends with Joanna Gabriel and with the folks at Unity of North Kitsap. We have a very strong heart connection with all those folks, and I feel in ways like we know you already. We are family. It doesn't really take that much equipment. Left to their own devices, the most disadvantaged of the world's children will concoct a game using any available materials, a stick for a bat or a rolled up sheaf of paper. A clothesline is a jump rope, a ball improvised and kicked toward a makeshift goal. When I was 11, my friend Hal, now a Methodist minister, my friend Hal and I played basketball in front of my house, each of us trying to hurl this ball we had over a tree limb that was maybe 5 feet off the ground, but it was still above our heads. At Mr. Harry's nursery school in 1961, do we have any other alumni of Mr. Harry's here? My playmates and I were right in tune with the era's zeitgeist, climbing all over a fallen tree that, in our imagination, was a spaceship. And who among us is not familiar with the Christmas morning when that much sought-after toy that someone's parent acquired by stealth, cunning, and lucre is discarded in favor of a game improvised from boxes and wrapping paper? We play games, and we really can't help it. I suppose some kind of game playing is hardwired for us as a species. For us human beings, along with all the other species that play games, if you've played with your dog, your cat, or watched an otter in the river or anything, along with games, for us, we inherit a recognition of structure, the presence of rules, and the sense of fair play. Now, today I do intend to give appropriate seasonal focus to America's national pastime. And no, I don't mean inhaling gallons of cheap Pilsner, concocting random explosions all over the place around the 4th of July, or where we live, really any time. It's Tuesday, let's blow some stuff up. Or vilifying everyone whose social and political views vary even slightly from our own. All of these are pastimes I'm not going to highlight. I refer instead to the sport of baseball. Now, I came here today to talk about sport, about baseball, about that instinct to play, and how the values we use in playing a game may inform our values in our larger lives. Baseball seemed like the appropriate sport to feature given the time of year. Of course, no talk about baseball could be complete without a sampling from this game's immortal, cockeyed spokesman, Yogi Berra. So I'd like very much to offer you from the Gospel according to Yogi a few inimitable Bera-isms, such as 90% of this game is half mental. Nobody goes there anymore because it's too crowded. You can observe a lot just by watching. It ain't the heat, it's the humility. When you come to a fork in the road, take it. Oh, he hits from both sides of the plate. He's amphibious. You should always go to other people's funerals. Otherwise, they won't come to yours. The towels were so thick, I could hardly fit them in my suitcase. After being told he looked cool once, he said, "Well, thanks. You don't look so hot yourself." I'm keeping that one in reserve in my later innings here, just in case anybody ever tells me once again that I look cool. It's been a while. And of course, Yogi's ultimate disclaimer. I never said most of the things I said. Not long ago, Sal and I had a chance to watch 42. This is the film about Jackie Robinson and his first season with the Brooklyn Dodgers, and what he and the team went through after his breaking the color barrier. Sorry again for the mic noise, especially those of you out there in internet land. Jackie Robinson becoming the first African American to join the roster of a Major League Baseball team. Beautiful film. I totally recommend if you haven't seen it. I'm sure you can get it at your library for no charge. That's how we did it. The thing is, this movie isn't really about baseball. It's about fairness. Now, if you haven't seen 42, cover your ears, spoiler alert, because I'm going to share with you a moment from the film, from Harrison Ford's portrayal of the Brooklyn Dodgers manager, Branch Rickey. An assistant asks Branch Rickey why he wants to draft Robinson, and he says, "Well, you see, Robinson's a Methodist. I'm a Methodist. God's a Methodist." In this film, Rickey decides to integrate his team. He signs Robinson to a contract. Now, 3 times in the movie, the young star asks the manager, "Mr. Rickey, why are you doing this?" And Branch Rickey gives different answers. It makes me think of Simon Peter denying that who the Christ is 3 times before the cock crows. Branch Rickey gives these different answers. At first he talks about the money. He says, "There's a lot of fans in Brooklyn who are black, and they'll come to the games if he's playing for us. And their money isn't black or white, it's green." Later he talks about how it's inevitable that African American players are going to join the league, and he wants to get a jump on that trend in order to win a pennant. But the 3rd time he's asked, it follows a scene where Jackie Robinson has been intentionally spiked by a base runner. And Rickey comes to see him after he's been stitched up. I mean, the guy's leg is bleeding, it's awful. Robinson asks him one more time, "Mr. Rickey, why are you doing this?" And Branch Rickey speaks at that point from the heart. He explains he'd been a player coach with a college team in Ohio. And a black player on that team had been treated unfairly. And he says, "And I didn't do everything I could to help him, though I told myself I had." That's interesting, isn't it? We tell ourselves we're doing the right thing sometimes, when deeper down we know He says, there was something unfair at the heart of the game I loved, and I ignored it. But a time came when I could no longer ignore that. A time came when I could no longer do what I had done, when I could no longer exist on these two levels and lie to myself. Ultimately, 42 is a film about fairness, but more than that, it's a film about the place in our souls where fair play registers. It's about our conscience. The truth it illustrates is that if we listen to our conscience, to our hearts, if we align our moral compass, we finally come to a fork in the road and we have to take it. And that is a place when we can no longer think as we have thought before. We can no longer live as we have lived before. When cruel words begin to stick in our heart, in our throats, or haunt us if we have uttered them, and when we find it impossible not to align our actions with our ideals. I know I speak to people who have gone through these crucibles of conscience, haven't we? We've all had those moments. In whatever games we are playing, whether they're on a field, in the workplace, in the halls of Congress, we can no longer ignore what is unfair or unjust. We can't play the game by the old rules that favor one side over another, or disadvantage someone equally deserving in favor of another for arbitrary reasons. 53 years ago this week, on August 6th, 1965, President Lyndon Johnson signed the Voting Rights Act, prohibiting racial discrimination in voting, enforcing the voting provisions in the 14th and 15th Amendments to the Constitution. At least the Voting Rights Act did all this in theory. Though, to quote Yogi Berra once more, in theory, there is no difference between theory and practice, but in practice there is. Now, speaking of LBJ, if you're a student of American history, as I aspire to be, you'll know that LBJ was an astoundingly effective legislator, a master of that process. And you may not be surprised to know that he could marshal a bill through the House and through the Senate, whether as the Senate Majority Leader in the 50s or as President in the 60s. We're not exactly saying that LBJ was a spiritual leader. I don't think he was praying in his office with Martin Luther King Jr., that he was channeling Charles Fillmore, that he and Emmett Fox held seminars together. But his biographer, Robert Caro, effectively makes the point, I've heard him say in interviews and in his books, that Johnson truly cared about those who were less fortunate, perhaps because at the root level he was one of the less fortunate himself. He grew up hard scrabble poor in Texas. Caro tells the story that Johnson had to drop out of college between his sophomore and junior years for lack of funds. And he spent a year teaching in a school in Cotulla, Texas, near the Mexican border. Caro says, no teacher ever cared if those kids learned or not, but this teacher cared. And the reason he has for saying this is that Johnson didn't just teach English and other subjects to the kids in the rundown school. He taught English to the janitor before and after school. Caro interviewed Tomas Coronado, who had worked as a school janitor And he quotes Mr. Coronado as saying, Johnson would spell, I would repeat. Johnson would pronounce, I would repeat. So we can imagine that Mr. Coronado learned to say, my fellow Americans, just like LBJ. 5 days after President Kennedy was assassinated, Johnson made a major address to Congress. His speech supported the civil rights legislation then in progress, which JFK had been an advocate of. And several advisors urged LBJ the night before, don't focus on this legislative agenda. They said, don't do it. Don't make it a priority. It's a noble cause. But it's a lost cause. It can't pass. The South controls Congress. You'll never get it through. To which Johnson is said to have replied, well, what the hell's the presidency for anyway? He went on to speak these words in his address. No memorial, oration, or eulogy could more eloquently honor President Kennedy's memory than the earliest possible passage of the Civil Rights Bill for which he fought so long. Asked by one speechwriter why he would make civil rights such a focus, Johnson related his experience teaching the kids in Katala. And he said, when I was teaching those kids, I swore that if I ever had the chance to help them, I would. Now I have the power, and I mean to use it. It kind of gets me broken up a little bit to think about somebody trying so hard to help others when they have that power, using it for the right reasons. There comes a point when we can no longer ignore what is unfair or unjust. We reach a point when we wish to repent, if you will. This is when we experience metanoia. This is the Greek term traditionally translated as repentance. But what it really means is having a new mind, having a changed mind. Your noia, your consciousness, meta, changes. Metanoia means going beyond the mind, the values, the judgments, and the prejudices we've previously held. A transmutation of our minds and our perceptions, and beyond changing our mental furniture. Metanoia also means changing our actions, our conduct. When we experience metanoia, we can begin to address unfairness in our own approach to whatever game we're playing, in our thinking about others, and in perhaps the rules and the structures of the game or the society itself that we are enmeshed in. We begin then to believe with Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. that the arc of the moral universe is indeed long, but it bends toward justice, knowing that this is true perhaps only if we help to bend it. We begin to realize our own power and our own intention to use it. So as we play our games here in the heart of the summer, whether a 90-degree day or a blessedly cool, relieving day like we have today, I'd like to wish you all midsummer nights and days, not dream, but reality. A reality of embracing fairness, of being part of the solution in whatever fields we are in, and using our power for good. And remembering it's not whether you win or lose. It's how you play the game. Life is a ball game, being played each day. Life is a ball game, everybody can play. You got Jesus standing at the home plate, he's waiting for you there. Life is a ball game, but you got to play it fair.
Daniel was the first to bat, you know he played 3 times a day. But when life threw him a fastball, he swung at it anyway. Then Joe came in the next inning, trouble struck him in every way. Joe, he hit a home run, and he came in on that day.
Life is a ball game, being played each day. Life is a ball game, everybody can play. Got Jesus standing at the home plate, he's waiting for you there. Life is a ball game, but you got to play it fair.
Prayer will be your strong bat to hit at trouble's ball. When you start to swing it, baby, you got to give it your all. Faith will be your catcher, on that you can depend. And you got Jesus standing at the home plate, and he's waving you on in.
Life is a ball game, being played each day. Life is a ball game, everybody can play. You got Jesus standing at the home plate, he's waiting for you there. Life is a ball game, but you've got to play it fair. Life is a ball game, but you got to play it fair.
As you prepare your tithes and love offerings today, think about how blessed you are. And as you're writing your check or giving your gift, send your blessings out. And so we will have candles available to light if you'd like to light a candle for yourself or a loved one you're thinking of. And if you'd like to release something into the flame, we've got the burning bowl over here. Meanwhile, as the ushers are passing the offering bags, we'll be singing I Am So Blessed. It's on the screen. Thank you.
I am so blessed. I am so blessed. I am so grateful for all I have. I am so blessed.
All right, if we could have an usher come forward, and I'll stand in as chaplain of the week, and we'll, as a congregation, bless the offering. The blessing is on the screen, so we can all say this together. I give willingly, joyfully, and lovingly, knowing that God is the constant source of my supply. I give with graciousness and receive with gratitude. Thank you, God. All right. All right. Has anybody got some good news to share?
As usual, I've always got good news.
Oh, I'm happy about that.
I got keys to my apartment.
Yay!
A bed set up that I might get to sleep in tonight. It's mine. I own it.
Yay!
Also, Sally's grandson Jamie has been really great about helping me move my stuff into storage, and got me some of my stuff into my apartment yesterday. And also, Mark built a stick that I could get into my storage shed in and get the door open without having to get on any ladders. Because we all know what those do. I don't like ladders anymore.
Boy.
So, I've got a lot to be grateful for.
Wonderful, wonderful, Nora. Progress and moving into your new space.
Yes.
Wonderful. Okay, anybody else have, yes, Mark?
So it got missed during the announcements. This Wednesday is the Peninsula Photo Club meeting here at 6:30. That's the 15th, this coming Wednesday. So if you like taking pictures or just like looking at pictures and want to know how they're made, come join us.
Okay. We didn't have any children in the Sunday school today, did we? No. Okay, all right. Well, it's time then to have our closing, just a reminder, I'm available as your chaplain of the week. If you'd like supportive prayer following the service, I'll be available for that. It's time now to have our closing peace song and closing prayer. So let's stand up and join hands.
I'm gonna go over here. She's got it.
You'll have to move a step.
Are we good right here? The peace that was meant to be, with God as creator, family all are we. Let us walk with each other in perfect harmony. Let peace begin with me. Let this be the moment now. With every step I take, let this be my joyous vow. To take each moment and live each moment in peace eternally. Let there be peace on earth, and let it begin with
The light of God surrounds us, the love of God enfolds us, the power of God protects us, and the presence of God watches over us. Wherever we are, God is, and all is well.